Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday, August 29th, 2018. It is a Wednesday morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I am coming to you. This is the Fullerton Informer coming to you live from Orange County. Right now we're driving through the streets of Buena Park under a heavily chemtrailed sky, folks. And when I say heavily chemtrailed, I mean it. You know, it's been very, very strange how the weather controllers have been behaving lately. They literally have done everything in their power to keep any rain at all from falling in the Southern California area. We had record water temperatures in the ocean this year in the summer, and not any tropical moisture to speak of. How's this being accomplished, ladies and gentlemen? We're being told in the movies that they have satellites that control the weather. We're being told in the movies that satellites can wreak havoc on the weather. We're being told that satellites exist in the tens of thousands that are orbiting, supposedly, this spinning ball. Ladies and gentlemen, the Earth is not moving. The Earth is not a spinning ball, and there are no satellites up there, folks. Most communications are land-based, either terrestrial through cable or point-to-point microwave communication systems. Any satellites that do exist are floating around up there on balloons. Project Loon and the like. They've had balloons carrying these transmitting devices for a very long time, and if you happen to find yourselves in the mountains late at night and you're looking up at the sky and you see that thing go floating by, it's a balloon, folks. Or it's one of those high-powered gliders. It's not the space station. Look, I want to talk to you about NASA and why it's so important that you understand why I keep bringing this up. Because NASA is a satanic, occultic, Masonic, Luciferian, Hollywood pseudoscience cartel of black magicians, sorcerers, and deceivers that have stolen trillions of dollars from the taxpayers for fake space programs that have bilked the taxpayers out of enough money to fix all of our infrastructure for the last 50 years. And they've funneled it into underground facilities and black ops budgets that have developed weapons and different types of systems that they're going to use against us. None of which they will tell us they have, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to tell us what they have. It's a secret. NASA is a fraud, ladies and gentlemen. And anyone that hosts NASA guests, NASA scientists, and has a spinning ball on their website or uses any of their documents as the key foundation for their activism is highly suspect, if not totally controlled. Especially if some of these individuals have very close ties to other people that do the very same thing. Now, why is this so crucial that they convince us that the Earth is a spinning ball, ladies and gentlemen? Because the Bible teaches that the Earth is immovable, that it is covered by a firmament, a dome, a solid structure. The Bible states that there are waters above the solid structure. I'm looking out at the vast expanse of the sky right now, and it is absolutely incredible. The color is beautiful. It's blue. Even though they spray these metallic nano compounds up there to keep the tropical moisture from dumping on Southern California in the middle of monsoon season, which we should be getting rain, I can still see the glory and the majesty of the sky, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm also enjoying this nice flat road I'm driving on. Look, it's a war against God, and it's been going since the dawn of time, when Lucifer, God's right-hand man that he created, the anointed cherub, the head of the music department, the chief musician. Can you imagine being the chief musician in heaven? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the responsibility as well as the talent and the awe and the marvel? Can you imagine being able to see the colors of the sound waves and hear the frequencies of the light waves? Can you imagine what it must have been like to be the chief musician in heaven? And that wasn't good enough. So he was thrown out, took a third of the angels with him. And if you ever opened up a computer and looked at all the solid state circuitry and the wires in there, where'd all this knowledge come from to make these things? You know, they don't even understand how these chips work. They just know that they do. Look, ladies and gentlemen, Satan is the prince of the power of the air. He is the boss of NASA. NASA wants everyone to believe they're on some spinning ball because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It is the key foundation of evolution that we have evolved from a gigantic explosion, and we have coalesced from the cooling and spinning and formation and rapid combination of organic and inorganic elements into living systems that are self-replicating and self-repairing and highly complex. When the universe is in a perpetual state of disorder, the natural tendency of matter is to remain in a state of disorder. The law of entropy dictates that the universe is in a state of disorder by natural tendency. Just look at your teenager's bedroom. Look at your backyard if you don't clean it up after a couple of weeks. Look at everything. How do you get order out of chaos? The only way you get order out of chaos is through a designer. Almighty God is the architect. You're not going to find a Rolex watch at the bottom of Lake Erie after 2 trillion years unless somebody made one and put it there. But they want you to believe that we evolved from a bunch of rocks and minerals and amino acids and lightning bolts. You know, these creeps back in, I think it was the 50s or the 60s, they claimed that they created life in a test tube. They had some amino acids in there and some proteins, and they claimed they had figured out what the ancient atmosphere must have been like here, and they added a little bit of electricity symbolizing lightning. And they made, apparently, they came up with some amino acid, but the isomer of this amino acid was poison, ladies and gentlemen. They can't make life, they're morons! Look, they want you to believe we're on a spinning ball because it does two things. It basically goes against what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that the earth is a disc. The word in the Hebrew that is used to describe the shape of the earth, the face of the earth, the circle of the earth, is the word that is used to describe the shape of a compass, which is a flat disc. Now you can say, oh, well, that's what they thought back then. They didn't have science or technology. Let me tell you something, folks. The science and technology we have right now is being used to lie to us. People like you and I have to use this to get the truth out. They want you to believe the lies of evolution, ladies and gentlemen. NASA, DARPA, all these alphabet agencies that are funded by the Illuminati, satanic, devil-worshipping, pedophile technocrats that run our government, that run our educational system. And if you don't doubt me, please check into the sex ed they're teaching these kids, how to fist each other and rim each other. I go to board meetings I got video of the curriculum being described by board members themselves. And I've got the faces of the activists that want to bring this stuff into the classrooms. The people that run things are sick, folks. You don't teach kids how to rim each other when they're in high school. You don't teach minors how to violate each other like that and give them sex stands. And I mean, I'm not even going to talk about this. It makes me sick. These degenerate filth that push this stuff on our kids are the same degenerate filth that are high level in the government and the scientific and academic community, who will steadfastly defend the lies. But I digress. NASA has been invented to lock down the truth about what we live on and ultimately how we got here. You see, they want you to believe that you're an accident, the Earth's an accident, that everything is just a big random event that has turned into the goo to the zoo to you. Nothing could be further from the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing! How did 75,000 miles of circulatory system get in my body? How is that possible? Can you please explain that? Look, NASA wants you to believe that we are on one small little spinning ball out of trillions of spinning balls out there, and trillions and infinite numbers of solar systems, and that there's all these similar potentials for situations like we're living on. Ladies and gentlemen, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. And the earth is his footstool. Have you ever seen a footstool, ladies and gentlemen? He sits above the heavens. Above! Look. This is important. You were created by a God in the image of God, fearfully and wonderfully made in your mother's womb. And he took 9 months to make you when he took 7 days to make the heavens and the earth. Think about that for a minute. Think about that. They don't want you to believe that there's a God. You know why? Because they want you to be afraid to die so you won't fight back, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I have such a problem with fear-mongers who want to paralyze you with fear and at the same time work for the enemy, claiming to come in the name of being your friend. Oh, sure, they have some information because it's handed to them, and then they spin it as they put the globe Earth in front of your face, as they never claim the name of Jesus Christ, and as they tell you they're here to help. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand the deception? The LED lighting agenda is just another attempt to block out the illumination and the glory of the firmament in the heavens, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see the stars anymore. Thanks to these LED lights, they drown out the lights that God had put up there for us to marvel at. When is the last time any of you have actually sat back and just stared at the stars in awe and wonder? And if you've ever been to places like the Atacama Desert or Death Valley, where you have some of the best stargazing in the world, the dome is very close, folks. The ceiling on top of us is extremely close. The sun and the moon are extremely close to us. The sun and the moon are the same size, and they are the same distance away from us. Let me ask you a question. I get a kick out of this all the time when I think about this, but supposedly, if the sun is 93 million miles away, and the moon's, I don't know, 200,000. But if the sun is 93 million miles away, how is it possible, how is it probable that when the Earth supposedly tilts, and it tilts at X amount of degrees, and so the sun is more directly on top of, say, Australia than it is Montana, then if it's 93 million miles away, how does it make sense that if the sun heads south for the winter, oh, I don't know, let's say 800 miles, that you get a temperature difference of literally 100 degrees? And how is that possible if it's 93 million miles away? It's not! NASA is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. You were created in the image of God. And there's a reason why they want you to believe that the earth is a spinning ball. And there's a reason why NASA is funded. And there's a reason why NASA has a logo with a serpent's tongue. And if you look at the NASA logo, you'll see it's a snake tail and a head. And if you look at the people that work for NASA, they're all 33rd degree Masons, ladies and gentlemen. All of them. All of them. Now, we have to discuss this. This is extremely important. And when you have people like NASA Wigington, NASA Tavares, NASA Jones, did I forget anybody? NASA Redstone, you know, NASA Obama, or, you know, even NASA Trump, because he's promoting this globe earth nonsense. He's not defunding NASA. He's not exposing this. None of them are. They're all in on it. You may not like what I'm saying, but you know what? Too bad. Too bad, folks. Listen. You know, they're going to get y'all into this fake hologram alien invasion stuff. The Vatican's in on with their Lucifer telescope. And, you know, look, they want you to believe that there's an infinite number of planets and an infinite number of suns out there, so you feel like you're just a speck of dust that is totally insignificant, that you have no value and no worth. When in fact, God has created this earth for us, for His good pleasure and for a relationship with human beings. God has created the earth for our enjoyment, for our pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that what is going on right now is the biggest lie in human history. Look, folks, the earth was created by God. The earth is not moving. The oceans cannot stay on a spinning ball. It's impossible. Take a tennis ball, dunk it in water, spin it around, and watch the water fly off. If gravity can hold the oceans on a spinning ball that's spinning over 1,000 miles an hour and flying through space at over 5,000 miles an hour, how come it can't hold a stinking mosquito on the ground? I didn't think so. Look, evolution is a lie from the pit of hell, and NASA was created for several reasons, folks. If the cat ever got out of the bag that the Bible is true, all the way down to Genesis 1:1, where in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and in Genesis 1:6 it talks about the firmament separating the waters above from the waters below. You heard me, there's water up there. There's water up there, folks. And for those of you who think I'm some uneducated moron, I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry and a bachelor's degree in biological science from UCI, University of California, Irvine. I spent plenty of time getting brainwashed by these people, all right? I spent plenty of time learning these equations, learning all these theories, working out the mathematics, looking at all the biology, looking at all the plausible explanations that they gave me, which were nothing more than a bunch of bullshit to make you think that they know everything, and that the higher up you go in education, the smarter you are, and the lower you are on the totem pole, the dumber you are, and that's how they have everybody at bay. You were made not... How do you get a sperm and an egg to turn into a human being? I mean, I've never seen a piece of charcoal and a piece of granite turn into a BMW. How do you do that? How do you do that, folks? Trump gave NASA billions of dollars. Trump's given the 5G network $80 billion. Trump's in on it, folks. Trump's part of it. He is part of the system. Look and listen and understand. Please. Please, folks. Around the turn of the century, there was a guy named Admiral Byrd. He took a bunch of soldiers with him to go to Antarctica. And you have to understand, they knew back then that the Earth was flat. They've known for thousands of years it is. And the cartographers had all these maps. The North Pole is actually the center of the Earth. It's the center of the disk. So he went to examine the ice wall. Captain Cook sailed around the ice wall too. They named a champagne after that guy, a really cheap one. The military knows about this. Antarctica is not a continent, folks. It's an ice wall. It's a ring around this disk. And Admiral Byrd went down there on Operation High Jump, took some aircraft carrier and some airplanes, and he flew above the ice wall, and he headed off on this great plane down there, and he even came back and said that there's vast resources. There's a continent larger than the United States in terms of landmass. There's resources, oil, coal. I mean, you could look at his interview on the Longines program, and it's really old and kind of weird looking, but it's there. But immediately after that, they went back and they did a program called Operation High Jump, and then another one called Operation Dominic, and then Operation Fishbowl. And what they ended up doing is they basically were detonating nuclear devices in the upper atmosphere. Now, what they were doing there was two things, ladies and gentlemen. They were mapping out the dome, and at the same time, they're also electrifying it to enhance communications. Because the communications that they call satellite communications are either taking place on ground-based point-to-point transmissions or cables, or they're bouncing the signals off the dome, folks. It's very simple. The communications that NASA claims that they do off of these satellites that are rotating around this ball Earth, supposedly, are actually nothing more than microwave signals being bounced off of the dome. They go up and they come down, just like everything else. An airplane goes up, an airplane comes down. If you go up a mountain, you're going to come down a mountain unless you stay up there. Everything that goes up must come down. Look, gravity is a theory. It's never been proven. Density is what dictates why you're sitting on the ground and it's heavy. The heavier something is, the denser it is, the heavier it is to pick up. And Trump's got this baloney about space fence, and then there's people out there that say that they're going to run 5G from space. Are you kidding me? 5G's a piece of crap. They got to run it on the ground at 300 feet apart from the transmitters because everything blocks it. How are they going to run 5G from space? Are you people on drugs that are pushing this crap? Do I need to name your names? Come on! Come on! Washington, D.C. is laid out Masonically. The Vatican's laid out Masonically. The astronauts are all Masons, 33rd degree. They're all a bunch of liars! It's all fake. They're a bunch of alcoholics. One of them just quit NASA recently. Maybe he has a conscience. I don't know. But these guys, they were asked, hey, swear on the Bible, I'll give you $10,000 to tell me you walked on the moon. The guy wouldn't do it. They're liars. They want you to believe that you're some evolutionary accident. They want you to believe that you have no worth or no value. They want you to be afraid to die. They want you to go to hell and not believe in Jesus Christ. They want you to teach you that there's no God. So you'll end up on drugs and be depressed, and you'll follow the devil and live like the devil and spend an eternity with the devil. Why do you think they put so much money into Hollywood and so much money into NASA, and NASA works together with Hollywood, folks? It's to deceive. It is to suck your soul to hell. There was a guy that I really admired years ago. Being a Christian, I went to a lot of speaking engagements. And there was a guy that, his name was Kent Hovind, and he got into tax trouble, ladies and gentlemen. and he went to jail. And you want to know something? This guy came back from jail, and he won't talk about the flat earth. Because, see, he disappeared for a while, and they got to him. And you can always tell an operative by how they take them out of commission for a while. Yeah, some of them, they'll send them to South America. You know, they'll disappear for a year or two, and then they'll come back all of a sudden repackaged and rebranded and ready to go. And then they'll tell you everything but the truth about what's really important, and that is that God created the heavens and the earth. The Bible is 100% true, and that we were created by Him, and that Jesus Christ is His Son, and that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but through Him, and that Jesus is the door. And when you talk about a door, you're going to need one to get out of this closed system, folks. NASA is Greek. It means to deceive, ladies and gentlemen. NASA is a deception organization, and it has many agents. It also has many employees. It has many people working in compartmentalized systems there. Do they know what they're part of? Some do, some don't. The higher up the chain you go, the more they know what they're involved in. The low-level minions and scientists are just working out equations for their six-figure income, and they're going to come home and watch the ball game and take their wife on a Disney cruise. That's what they do. That's what they do, folks. That's what they're paid to do. They're not paid to look over the top of that cubicle. They're not paid to talk to people about what they're working on. It's called compartmentalization. It's called brainwash. And it's called the golden handcuffs, folks, because people will do anything for money. Some people have a paltry price. Some people have a high price. NASA is at war with God. And NASA is an arm of Satan. And NASA is involved in brainwashing and corrupting children. Because children need to know that what they're being taught is a lie. It's counterintuitive. Every child instinctively knows that water does not stay on a spinning ball. Every child instinctively knows that when he or she looks at the ocean, it's flat. Every child instinctively knows that the sun cannot possibly be 93 million miles away if it takes a trip south for the winter, and the changes in temperature vary all the way up to 100 degrees. Now, the laws of physics and basic mathematics would dictate that when you only go 800 miles versus 93 million, you're not going to get a change in temperature of 500 to 1,000%. That's not going to happen. Look, anybody that tells you they're going to run 5G from space is full of crap. Anybody that tells you they're going to run Wi-Fi from space is full of crap. Anybody that tells you they got satellites up there, they can control the weather, is totally full of crap. Let me tell you why. Because in order to run any type of significant amount of atmospheric or ionic heater, you have to have a tremendous amount of power. Where do we get electricity from, folks? Well, it comes from cables and wires in power plants or batteries. Now, I would challenge any one of you to pick up a battery out of your car. Actually, go to the auto parts store and just pick up a battery with one hand. And I want you to think about how long that thing will stay up in the sky if you put it up there. That thing will come falling down like a freaking brick. Now, how are we supposed to have enough battery power? Now, granted, you could stick a solar panel on it, but how much battery power are you going to be able to put up in the air that's strong enough to heat up a quadrillion gallons of water vapor in the atmosphere? Are you kidding me? There is no way anything up there is capable of any significant amount of warfare against us, much less any significant amount of data communication or transmission. It is all a fraud, ladies and gentlemen. They can put little things up there that can give them communication. If they fly balloons up, they put these balloons up, they can have point-to-point communication just like they have on the ground. But you can't put up a satellite that can run lasers and burn up a car from 5,000 miles away up in the sky. It's unbelievable, folks. It is impossible for common sense to accept what we're being told. Elon Musk is a fraud. He's all part of it. What they're doing is they're winding down NASA to an extent and creating a straw man and a diversion with this Tesla in orbit with the blow-up doll. Okay? It's a joke. It's a joke, folks. These guys, they're in the club, you know, SpaceX, and it's a bunch of crap. Every single rocket they launch doesn't arc for a reason, because you know what? If it keeps going, it's going to hit the roof. It's unbelievable. Every single thing that satanic, Masonic, Luciferian, pedophilic, deceptive, Hollywood pseudoscience, cartel, black magic, sorcerer, freakazoid, NASA launches goes in an arc. It never goes straight up. Oh, they're going to tell you, oh, we've got to do it to manage to hit the right escape velocity from Earth's atmosphere. Let me ask you a question. Let's say that all this crap that they're teaching you is true about some ball spinning at 1,000 miles an hour flying through space at 5,000 miles an hour. How is it possible that we don't have a 5,000 mile an hour shear wind when you get to a certain point up there? Don't you think that if they were really launching a rocket straight up, aside from the fact that you can't have propulsion in a vacuum because there's nothing to push against, you knuckleheads? Yeah, you know, you could do it on a chalkboard, Mr. PhD, with your intestines hanging out and your funky teeth and your weird glasses and your pencil case, because you've ruined kids for decades with your crap that you teach them in the colleges. But guess what? You can't have propulsion in a vacuum because there's nothing to thrust against. Oh, we have these special magnetic engines. Oh, they spend $300 million on one of these things and it comes crashing down to Earth. Look it up, folks. It's all a joke and a ripoff. I'm sick of this. You know, they pay these professors, they got like 190 IQs. They pay them like 160 grand a year. And they put them in this rabbit hole and put them in this locked up room under these weird lights. And they get into all these weird theoretical garbage equations. And they come up with all this nonsense. You know, Einstein was the master of that. You know, they made him out to be some hero and genius. Most of Einstein's work was a total unproven fraud. It was all theoretical. It's unbelievable. What they've done is they've made gods and demagogues out of these academic people, and they're full of crap. So NASA, they put everything up there, and they expect us to believe it's up there when they film it in a water tank, or they green screen it, or they film it on a continent in Greenland that you can find on Google Earth. It's unbelievable, folks. You cannot have a rainbow unless you're inside a dome. How come you can't have a rainbow inside a house? Can't be done. I could go on and on, folks. There's so many things that aren't adding up here that aren't making sense. But here's the deal. Anyone that has a globe Earth on their website or a globe Earth as their logo is in on something, or they're deceived, folks. That's the bottom line. They're deceived. And you know who they're working for? They're not working for the same guy I am. Okay? Now, like I said, NASA Tavares, NASA Wigington, and NASA Jones. Why are they all so into the globe Earth and NASA and all of this stuff? Why? Because they're called controlled opposition, folks. And name one of these people that will deal with the facts. They won't. Oh, they may put a Bible verse up, but they won't talk about it. As a matter of fact, I think NASA Tavares in her last video had a guy on who denied the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Yeah, NASA Tavares is promoting a guy that's at war with God, folks. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's unbelievable. Look, we got Lucent Technologies, Lucifer's Enterprises. That's what that means. You know, AT&T. But look at the logo of AT&T. Look at the. I'm not even going to get into all this. I'm not going to get all esoteric on you right now. What I am going to tell you is, you know, a tree by its fruit. And I'll tell you this: that when you have people out there putting out the NASA stuff with all the black and red colors, like, you know, like the vampire colors all over the website, trying to freak everybody out, and having people on denying Jesus Christ? Are you kidding me? No. If I have somebody on my show and they want to tell me that Jesus Christ didn't raise them from the dead, I'm not going to sit there and agree with everything the guy's saying. These people or operatives are getting paid, folks. Let me tell you something. You need to wake up and tell your kids the truth, that God loves them and that you need to love them. And that you need to tell them to question everything and trust no one, and do their homework and study things for themselves. And they need to prove things to themselves. They can't just believe what they're being taught, because there's an agenda behind the agenda, folks. And it is a satanic agenda to destroy man's souls and to suck them to hell and to believe the grand delusion as they live in the grand illusion. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, folks. And yet it's believable because people fall for it. How have they been able to manage to convince us to believe things that are counterintuitive to our instinct about what we live on and how we got here? The fact of the matter is that if they let the cat out of the bag, that we are living in a closed system, then people would immediately begin to question who put us here, how we got here, and why we're here. The truth is, God put us here, and he put us in this finely tuned ecosystem that is a closed system, folks. These people that are in on this infiltration of the truth movement, like NASA Tavares and NASA Jones and NASA Wigington, they only go so far. They don't take you all the way. I will take you all the way. You know why? Because I follow the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus Christ. The Bible explains everything. We've got water above us. During the Great Flood, the windows of heaven were opened, and the fountains of the deep were opened, and we had 40 days and 40 nights of a deluge that made 15,000 feet of water cover the entire face of the earth. No, Chuck Missler at Calvary Chapel said Mars came by and dropped off its atmosphere. Are you kidding me, you knucklehead? Another one of those false teachers from this dispensationalist cult of Protestant Zionism. Calvary Chapel. Another NASA operation. Another NASA operation. You know what? If you guys are in Calvary Chapel, you better open your eyes to who's running that place. It isn't who you think it is. Look, the Bible talks about what happened during the flood, and guess what? The water all sank back under the ground. You know how much water is under the ground? It is unbelievable. We are surrounded by a molten glass or some sort of transparent aluminum dome. And it is a closed system, and there's tons and tons of water on top of it. All of the water from the flood is still under the ground. There is primary water underneath us. There are all kinds of scientists that will tell you this. They will not let us have it. The Bible says it's there. Let me ask you another question, ladies and gentlemen. Why is it that we have tides on the ocean, and yet we don't have tides on the Great Lakes? Why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Is the moon really pulling on the ocean to make the tides come up and down? Why don't the Great Lakes have tides, ladies and gentlemen? Why? Why is that? Why? You need to understand that they have lied to us, and they have taught you to believe something that's an impossibility. The sun and the moon have an electromagnetic interaction with each other, and depending upon their orientation to each other and to us, that is what makes the water, not the water move, folks, but the land go up and down on the water. We are floating up and down on the fountains of the deep, folks. That is why the oceans have tides. It's not because the water goes up and down on the land. The land is going up and down on the water, folks. The Great Lakes have no tides because they're landlocked, and the land in those lakes is not moving. The fountains of the deep are still there, folks. Let me tell you something. The Word of God has all the answers. And there are people out there. And you know what? This one's for you, Deborah Tavares. How dare you have somebody on your radio or your program or whatever that denies Jesus Christ and you go along with it? Shame on you. You know, I've never talked to her. I've never had a word with her, but I know a tree by its fruit. I've known for years, based on her connections and what she doesn't talk about and what she does do, because I have had plenty of people contact me telling me that she has freaked them out and some of them wanted to kill themselves. And I want to tell you something. I've had to talk some of these people off the ledge. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And she interviewed somebody the other day that's in a hospital denying God. God help you. You know, you should have witnessed to that guy right there, Deborah Tavares. You should have showed him the way. Well, maybe you don't follow the way. Just like Alex Jones. Does he follow the way? No. How about Dane Wigington? No. These are the three big players right now that like the spinning globe NASA model, because they stick it on everything. Alex Jones is in a hot tub in Tel Aviv enjoying the nightlife, folks. Hanging out with his handlers, okay? That's who controls Alex Jones. And Alex Jones has been given a break because Bill Hicks was converted to Alex Jones by Ted Turner, and now they're working on something new, folks. That's what's going on. Alex Jones is part of the deception. Alex Jones will never have an open discussion about the shape of the earth based on the Bible, because he can't touch it, because his handlers hate Jesus Christ. He works for them. Airplanes travel in a straight line on a flat disc, and that's very easy to do. And you can go around the earth all you want. You just go in a circle around the disc. All right, folks, I'm done. You want to know why? Because it's time for you to do your homework, and it is time for you to go to prayer, and it's time for you to look inward, that you do need to be forgiven for your sin. We've all got tons of it in us. We're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God, folks. We miss the mark. I want you to know that there's a way for you to make a U-turn, and you can get right with Jesus Christ, and you can get right with God, and you can accept Him. Read His Word as we go in His name today. In Jesus' name, amen.